So, how do guys? We all good? We've
Yeah, I'll
got
go.
a
I'll go.
special guest today. So, would you like to introduce yourself, man?
Hello, I'm Dwayne. Long time friend of these two guys, long time fan of the show. Yeah,
No
go
one's
on.
a fan of this show.
Long
Hey,
time,
hey, we've got
long,
five.
like as a sign on LBC, long time listener, first time caller. You know what I mean?
Oh. So, yeah, today's theme was going to be rock music, but sadly, Mr. Brown couldn't join us. So today we're doing the 90s. So I'll start with Cole. See, what's your?
No, it was a magical time
Here
in
he
one's
is.
life.
Here he is. He's happy because he knew he didn't want to do 80s. He wanted to do 80s versus 90s. So now he's got the full 90s to talk about. So go on then,
Because the
Mr.
90s
Happy.
was great. Everything about the 90s was great, you know. You got to have turkey twizzlers at school.
that was good.
You could go out in the streets and play and not get kidnapped. You know what I mean?
Well,
uh,
Where I
well,
where I lived, I forget your
well,
king
well,
and
well.
Dudley.
okay.
You
At
were
least
safe
back in
when
the
I was a
90s,
kid.
at least in the 90s, the man come up in the van, so you kind of had like you had an
Yeah.
inkling.
There with
Yeah,
the
the
sweets
fifty-fifty
and
chance
stuff.
of getting
Yeah.
away, you know what I mean? You'd ask for
Yeah.
sweets. You know what I mean?
Uh,
Cartoons were so much better as a kid.
okay,
I've got
I
these
have to agree
remakes
with.
with my son, and they're just terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Films were better. The quality wasn't as good, but the films were great.
Yeah, but okay. I'll save that for the 80s versus 90s because there are pros and cons, but we're only talking about 90s, so I'll let you off on that one. So, what cartoons, films did you like? If you're saying this is the best decade, go on then, sell it.
Silly.
Come on
Well,
then.
we had turkey twizzlers,
I,
proper turkey twizzlers.
I thought the way you'll go back to Turkey Twizzlers. Is
Well, I
this like
worked for
that?
Jamie Oliver, and he ruined my life for a few years.
Oh, I was thinking this is like placement or something. You've got
I'm
like a
still beefing
sponsor,
him.
and I didn't
You
know.
got to go to
You
school.
know
You
what I
had a
mean?
proper meal. You had like a nice little burger meal or sausage and chips and some cake. You know what I mean?
A
You
bit
get
of
to see
pizza.
Kumbaya all day, and you got a big floating rainbow tent you could sit under. You know what I mean? You could go to school and people wasn't a snowflake. You know, if you didn't like someone, you didn't like someone, they didn't have to go cry to their parents. You know what I mean? Cartoons are great. We had Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network
Some
after school.
people still.
Yeah, that's goat tier. You get home and you get to watch Pokemon, then Dragon Ball Z, then Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
And
Well,
then it's dinner time, then you go play in the streets all night. And we just it was life was I love being a kid. I wish I was a kid again.
I can tell like the way you're just so vocal from the heart.
Yeah, and then films were
What
great.
about yourself, OG?
Start came out. You
Oh,
had the
really? You
start of
still
Pixar.
like.
You had Shawshank Redemption came out. You know, it's one of the best films ever.
Oh, okay. So there we go. Shooting the
Why are
big
you
guns.
drinking a Heineken at 12 o'clock?
So as for me, like as I said, when it comes to the 80s and 90s,
Did you just edit yourself? I heard none of what you just said there. 12 o'clock.
he's dying.
He's dying. So while we wait for him, you carry on, OG. Here he is.
Yeah, well, I was born in the 90s, like the very beginning. I'm 1991, so like I got to see the 90s in full swing. I got to understand it when it was when it was rearing. I remember how big something like the two like yeah when year 2000 rolled around and everyone was saying the world was going to end and then everyone was partying and obviously the world clearly hasn't ended yet. But now going like on the same things that Cole saying like the TV shows, the kids even going back to the kids TV shows, man. Like you had stuff like if you was off school, man, you had like stuff like El Nombre on in the day, like that kids don't even know about. I like there's kids that are like a little bit younger than us, that are younger than me, that don't even know that stuff, and they were born in the 90s. Yeah, but like I said, Cartoon Network, fantastic, like Powerpuff Girls, you know,
Goat tier, bro. Goat tier.
all like Shaolin Showdown, Samurai Jack, all these really, really cool shows that a lot of them like have kind of still, well, I know like apparently Cartoon Network's kind of died now, but like
Yeah.
they were still going till the end or were like played on the late night of the reruns of all the classics, like you know what I mean? Like there was like on the night time they play like you have Courage come on, then you'd have like two episodes of Courage and it gets like two episodes of Ed, Ed and Eddie. And like
That
I
makes
said,
sense.
some of the shows nowadays just don't really hold up like to what to, to
Have
what
you tried
to what
watching
we had.
kids' TV shows these days?
Well,
Oh mate,
I have a little bit with my niece, like, because obviously she's 4 now, and like some of the stuff I'm just like, what is this?
It's just shit, man.
What's going on? Some of it's quite captivating, but a lot of it's just like, what's going on? But then again, I think like, well, remember we didn't really have the internet.
We didn't need internet. We went
We
outside.
didn't need like that's what I mean. But I mean like the internet as we know it today, we didn't have it. So
well,
like
close to
you
we had,
know we had computers, but there was shit. You
well,
could
we had
play
MSN. We
you
had
could
MSN.
play solitaire. You could play solitaire or pinball. Now look what you can do with your phone, let alone let alone the computer you got in your house. But yeah, the nineties were a good time. Like I don't really like the music of the nineties. Well,
Well, there's some
gro- gro- gro-
classics.
gro- gro- growing up,
Chumbawamba.
growing
I'll get
growing
knocked
up,
down.
growing up, I didn't really like pop music. I still don't like pop music, but there is a lot of good music from the nineties. Now I'm older. A lot of the dance music that came out in the nineties, like
Bangers after banger, man.
really made like today's music. Like I watched a reel the other day, and it was just a song I hadn't heard it for like I hadn't heard this song for a good 4 or 5 years, and I was like, mate, this song still bangs. You know, it was made in like 1993
That's that
when I
leg.
was 2 years, and it still bangs. But
See,
yeah,
I was a little Grebo growing up. So when you talk about this stuff, I was into like Nirvana, Guns N' Roses, Metallica.
this
So
is
for the
what that's
nineties,
what I mean.
this was like my peak time. Oh, I think my little cat wants to get in. Do you want to say hello? Is that why you're a bit shy? Well, yeah, just classic music. So I do agree with you guys there. The nineties probably had the better music. Because I'm showing my age because I was a bit of an old bastard. So when you guys are talking about cartoons, for me, like it was the early 90s cartoons. So you had Turtles, you had Batman, the X-Men, the Spider-Man, the proper Spider-Man cartoon. So for me, that was my like Fox. I think it was Fox Kids. That was my peak time. That was
Fox Kids was lit. I remember it used to be called Jetix.
Yeah, see, that was I think that just was after. So when I grew up, it was Fox Kids. You had Power Rangers on. I think this was like 93, 94. So early morning, you wake up, you have Power Rangers, followed by Batman, followed by X-Men, followed by Spider-Man. And that was my afternoon. And then, yeah, was it Live and Kicking or
SMTV Live?
It's SMTV Live. You had to do
Mate,
back
think about where all those people are. Like, think about you think like Live and Kicking SMTV. Like, look at
yeah, look how good.
Look how far Stephen Mulcairn's come.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Oh, yeah. Anton fucking Deck.
Well,
Yeah.
Anton Deck's more 80s, isn't it? Because that's like Biker Grove and stuff. But even then,
Yeah.
that's my movies. That's still the 90s.
Yeah, it's crazy to think because, yeah, Biker Grove.
Mate, you know the worst thing is, I'll tell you what, probably the worst thing about getting old is you actually forget how long ago stuff actually was when you actually sit and think. Because I'm saying like all this stuff, and it's like, wow,
It was
it's
a
like
long ass time ago.
yeah, it's like you're saying Pokemon. Like what? Pokemon's like 25, like since 25th anniversary. They've just released like Gen 9, and still people still harp on to that first generation era about back from like red, blue, and green.
Yeah, because they were the best ones.
Well, I think when I think 20 years ago,
after Crystal. After Crystal.
Well, to me, when I think 20 years ago, I still think it's the 80s. I'll do it in my head, 20 years ago, and then you pause, like, nah, 20 years ago, that's depressing when you think like that. You know what I mean? Then that's when I have the realization I'm getting old. Like, I just assume everyone's the same age, and then when you do the maths in your head,
that's one thing when you think you really don't realize, like, especially for us guys, because we've all worked in hospitality, and you get like a new cohort in, and they're like into like similar things as you. And you're like, oh, how old are you? And they're like, oh, I'm 19. And you're like, what? Yeah, how old? Yeah, how old?
You're a child.
I don't remember. I don't remember when that happened.
Or it could be worse. You could be talking to them, and they have no idea what you're about. And you talk about stuff, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know that." Oh, but I'll ask my dad. And you're like, "Oh my god!" You're like, "It asks you that." Like I've got one lad at work doesn't even know what The Matrix is, so he enjoyed it when he saw it. He was like, "Oh, it's a good film," but the idea that it just never interested, never heard of it, doesn't even know any Star Wars. Like that's just He didn't even know there was prequels, let alone originals.
But that's weird though, because like if we
That's
look
just
at
pop
how
culture, though, isn't it?
it's
Yeah.
if you look at pop culture, obviously but then again, there has been such a big resurgence in a lot of those things, like since
Yeah.
Disney owned the rights, now own the rights to a lot of
Well,
it.
I
Like
think
Star Wars was a very, very niche thing in like the 80s and 90s.
Well, yeah.
Like,
So-
we had the first three, had the originals, the 1, 2, and 3, then we had like Clone Wars and shit like that.
Oh, well, I remember as a kid waiting for the Phantom Menace to come out. There was me, like, I remember going to the cinema in 97 to rewatch the remastered version. And I remember just looking at my dad going, I don't remember any of this, because how much George Lucas was like, oh, I got CGI, I can add this bit. And I just remember just like looking like, is this the same film that I used to watch every Christmas? So I think at my school I got picked on because, like, you mentioned Star Wars, like, oh, you're one of them. And like now it's become this. It's like the same with Doctor Who and stuff. Like back as a kid, if you mentioned you like Doctor Who, I remember I wanted my mum to knit me the scarf. I almost got my head kicked in. I remember wearing the scarf for about 5 minutes, and people were like, "Is he, one of them?" And there's me like, "One of what? I'm the Doctor." And you think 9-year-old Chris, 10-year-old Chris shouldn't have said that, because I had a nickname, but it wasn't like, "Oh, it's the Doctor." There was me thinking it was going to be a lovely nickname. It's more like, oh. And now look, you got like toy box, you got backpacks, you got lunch boxes. It's on BBC. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like blown up into this. It just shows you it's crazy. It's like pop culture, geekdom is now more.
No, it's a very normal thing.
I see Colin smiling. He's probably thinking, "Oh, those were the best days of my life." That was.
They were great.
It's like, oh, the weird kid's back now. Let's pick on him.
I never picked on no weird kids. I was the one that got picked on.
Oh, okay. I thought you was Mr. Popular the way you were talking about football.
Nah.
No
I wish I
allergies.
was
No, you
popular.
could. It was. I think what Colin was just like. You could just do that. Like nowadays, kids don't really do that anymore. They sit inside, play the computer. Like, obviously, they still communicate, but there's no physical interaction.
Well, yeah, because I know it's like phones and stuff. Like as you were saying, we didn't have that technology. So if you wanted to see your best mate, you had to walk down the road, knock on the door, or if you were lucky, you were allowed to use the phone. But you had like a phone allowance. Like it has to be important.
5 minutes. 5 minutes a week. You can use the phone.
You got 5 minutes.
Get the free calls after 6 o'clock, man.
Yeah. Or Nan's ringing in half an hour, so you got 5 minutes to ring your friends and then do what you're doing. It's just not. It was a different time as well. Like you didn't have a mobile phone, so your parents were trusting you to leave the house and saying where you were going was where you was going.
Yep.
The idea, like, let's say something.
That's what I'm saying. The world was safer back then, man.
I don't know. I don't think safe is not.
I don't. The world was not safer. Yeah, we were just more naive to it. Honestly,
yeah, I think the
world's the same. It's all been the same way for a long time. As I've got older, I've realised, as you look back, like I said, it's like we're 30 years from the 90s now, and it's like, look how much stuff has actually changed. Like I said, simple fingers. When you had the internet, there was one computer in the house that took 4 hours to connect. If you wanted to download a single picture,
and then you fucked it with LimeWire.
You fucked it because you're downloading for 7 hours just to get one picture for your own work. Yeah. And it was just diabolical. But nowadays, it's just there's a big change, and it shows.
Because technology's too fast now. Like back in the day, if you didn't know something, you had to learn it. Like now, you can blag it. You're like, let's say you don't know anything. You can go to the toilet, open up Google, read Wikipedia, walk back into the pub or wherever you are, and continue the arguments. You know what I mean? Like before, you had to have an argument. If you hoped you were right, unless you had like a book next year or something, an atlas or something. Like, let's say you were talking about countries. Okay, we'll go to the library. We'll figure out if you're right. By the time you've got to the library, the argument's over because no one cares. But like now, everything's just so. Maybe you are going to sound old, but everything's too fast. If that makes sense, there's no time just to.
Yeah, everything just goes by, and I think that's what I was saying to you guys before. Like when it comes to like when we're talking about like Stranger Things, how like there's that massive hype over Stranger Things, and then it just died and no one cares about it anymore. And it's like you lot spent so much time caring about Kate Bush, spending Joel Metallica, Hellfire Club, D&D, and now like you don't next thing.
I know what you're saying, because it's like people at work like didn't know Metallica, didn't care about Metallica. Then because I love Stranger Things, but it's as you said, Stranger Things came out. Then everyone's talking about Metallica, and there's me like, but then I start talking about Metallica again. They're like, oh no, because we're only on about this one song. We don't care about the other songs. I'm like, What do you mean? So you're a Metallica fan, you bought a Metallica t-shirt, but you only care about Master of Puppets. That's one song in a sea of, like, I blew their mind when I told them there's different members of the band. They changed their look, they changed their sound. And I was like, stay away from Saint Anger. Saint Anger will, well, the title says it will piss you off. It is one of those albums that I remember buying. Me and my mates went there in the line, bought it, got back. We just looked at each other like, what the fuck is this? This isn't Metallica. But yeah, they just don't care. Like, as you said, in Kate Bush, just, yeah, as I said, it's like the mean, like, but then again, because technology and everything's that fast, everything's streamed. So, of course, they don't have the pain we had when, let's say, when I watched Star Trek for the first time, Next Generation, best of both worlds, Picard gets assimilated, it ended on a cliffhanger. You had to wait a year to see what happened. Now, everything streams. Let's say someone dies, you just press next episode and you see what happens. There's no, not all shows are binge worthy, but like most of Netflix, they all drop on the same day, don't they? So there's no like wait anymore. So of course, fads are gonna. Let's say if this happened in the 90s, Stranger Things, the t-shirts will probably become more iconic and stuff like that. We'd probably be celebrating it more. Then, as you said, the t-shirts. I remember in Primark, I couldn't get one for 6 months. Now they're all on sale, which pisses me off because I had to go Forbidden Planet and I have to put a mailing list to get a t-shirt. And now it's just the dirt cheap, and it's maybe, as you said, it's like it's just so fast. What's the next?
I think, like I said, that's a big thing you picked up on there, Bags. I think, like, just like when it comes to TV and shows, like how back in the 90s, like it was a thrill to be going to the cinema, to go and see a big film, whether no matter what film you wanted to see. Because I remember going to see Pokemon for the first Pokemon movie, getting that HMU card. God knows, I wish I still had that. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just like there's not that, like, even nowadays when I go, I don't really have the thrill of the cinema because there's like you're saying, TV is so more accessible.
Yeah.
There's no real thrill behind. It's got to be something I'm extremely excited for. Like you guys know, I don't really like consume media much anymore because I think that's the reason. There's just so much of it. Can't focus my energy on something. Because by the time I focus more my energy and put all my energy into that, either there's a new show or new season.
Yeah.
And you got to just keep invest yourself.
So, because I'm a completist and because I love Star Trek, we've had the most media ever of Star Trek this year or the last couple of years. So the idea, I'm like, oh my God, like I need another streaming platform to watch something else. And you get to a point where you're just like, I love Star Trek. I want to watch all of it, but there's no possible way I can afford. Let's say Nickelodeon's got Star Trek Prodigy. You've got, I think it's Paramount Plus has got Strange New Worlds, and then you got another one that's got the cards on Amazon. So there's 3 already on 3 different streamers.
I'm sure there's like an animated one, isn't there, on Amazon as well?
Yeah, so it's kind of like. I do miss the days of like, was it water cooler moments they used to call it, didn't they? If something happened, like Ross and Rachel kissed or something, everyone at school would be talking about it, or something would happen in the X-Files or the 90s. It was just that kind of, something happened, it was earth-shattering. Like, as you said now, people go on Twitter for a bit, and then it's on to the next thing.
Yeah.
God, we sound old, we do.
We are old. You're just
like,
old.
I know I'm old, but I like it when you two start agreeing. That's when I know the end of the world's coming. When we agree with the crazy guy that shouts at clothes. There's me, like, ranting about stuff, and you guys are like, he's right. I'm like, no, don't start. The last time Colin agreed with me, I had like a midlife crisis. I stood there and went, do I need to get my, like, everything in order? Do we like have to get a bomb shelter? You know what I mean? Like, is the end of the world actually happening?
Probably sometime soon.
Oh, fuck off. So
you don't know with these Russians and their bombs.
Well, I was saying to someone at work, it feels like everything goes in waves, like, the Cold War and stuff. So, like, I feel like we're in the 80s again. Like, we're talking about, the Russians could bomb us. I'm thinking, didn't we have this argument in the 80s and early 90s? And there's us.
Well, yeah, it does all go in cycles because, like, you know what I mean. We're back to recession again. I know.
70s,
2000, and now again. Let's go.
Yeah,
it's
but
like
I don't mind music
Stories.
coming back in fashion or fashion coming
I
back
don't
in
mind
fashion.
that.
But like
To be fair, that
politics
is
and
one
end
thing.
of the world.
Although, like I said, we like to moan about the younger. I do like that. Like I said, with a lot of stuff resurging and coming back, they are embracing it. Well, I think when we were like younger, there was a lot of like, oh, that's old. That
Yeah.
is. That's old.
Yeah.
That's shit. That's old. Now, look at simple like vinyls. Like I've been collecting vinyls for ages, but like a lot of younger people are seriously like into vinyl, like the actual sound of it, like how it produces a much different sound from like listening to something on your phone. But that a lad I work with, Ollie, he appreciates that side of it. He's only like 19,
Yeah.
so like you know, he's crazy.
But yeah, but then I think some people are like old souls because I think when I was a kid, I was born in the wrong decade. I think maybe I was like a 50s or 60s kid because the stuff I was saying, my dad used to look at me. I'd be listening to his music and stuff, and it's like it's weird because like the age I was, I shouldn't be like enjoying stuff like Elvis Presley and the Shadows and Roy Orbison and stuff like that. Like, but it's like I think some people are just a bit more like for every. Like we say, as you said, a 19-year-old. For every 19-year-old that probably knows certain bands, collects vinyls, you got 80% of them that's like what a vinyl. You know what I mean? So some do break the mold where you just like they shock you. Like then that's probably what adults thought about us when we're talking about stuff. Like shit, you know stuff. Like you know what I mean? You're not just a stupid kid.
Yeah, that's true.
Cole's
got into a trance. Cole's got into a trance in that way.
Yeah, Cole's watching the football on the sly.
The problem being a dad, isn't it?
You're watching the football. Watching the football.
You hear the World Cup's on? Uruguay and Korea.
Yeah, but who's playing?
All right.
Uruguay.
I know this isn't the 90s, but just
that wouldn't have been in Italian 1990, would it?
It could have been Euro 90.
Did they even like
France
qualify?
98?
Could have been Euro 90.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In 99, I always say if it wasn't in my sticker book back in the day, they don't exist. So back in the day, half of these, I looked at the World Cup, I was like, are these real countries? Maybe I should have listened more in geography. Like Qatar.
Uruguay won the first ever World Cup.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but what year was that? Like 1936 or something like
that. 50s, I think.
There you go.
What am I going to say? It was after the war.
Well, if it's after the war, no disrespect to our troops, but I don't think they were all like learning to play football at the time.
Hey, hold on. What do you mean? They had a lovely game of football on Christmas Day.
Yeah, that was more.
They had a lovely game on Christmas Day. Yeah, didn't want to continue. Didn't want to play footy.
I don't think they looked at each other.
And Sunbell and thought, let's start firing shots again. And restarted.
Let's become professional footballers after this moment. I don't think anyone.
There was professionals before the war.
Were they?
Yeah,
mate. They were just all rich.
They were
just all rich blokes.
I take 150 odd years old.
Yeah, sometimes when I see the day,
Aston Villa's like was one of the very first 10 clubs to start the league.
Yeah, but
Wrexham was the third.
It wasn't football as we know it. You look at like
football's football, man. Everything evolves and adapts.
Okay. Did they have that thing? What's it called? The computer thing.
Yeah, but that's mate. Mate,
the offside rule. Did they have?
Mate, the VAR and is only a very, very recent thing. That only came in.
So back then,
they didn't get. Mate, back then it was like if you scored, you scored.
Yeah, they probably didn't have any defenders, any strikers. They probably had a goalkeeper, and everyone else was like, "You guys run for the ball and hope for the best."
There's still set rules to sport. Still, there was set rules.
Yeah, as I said, my main sport's wrestling, so I can't say much about it. Wrestling. So what are we going to say? Was you going to ask Cole who he thinks is going to win?
Yeah, who do you think is going to win the World Cup this year? Because
he's got one.
The first this opening rounds ain't too spectacular.
I know.
I'm worrying that it's because nobody's used. There's only a few countries in the league who are used to playing in such hot environments.
Oh yeah, because you forget the climate.
Hot. It's not.
Yeah, I know,
it's
but
not like
like,
going to
but then-
Spain or anything.
They
It's
had
Scotland,
them-
isn't it? Like
what's
in the desert,
Argentina?
mate.
in
What's the
Brazil.
Argentinians like? How much did they lose? And I'm they used to the
2-1.
heart. Was it
They
like
lost 2-1, 2-1 to Saudi Arabia? Yes.
you know what I mean? Go on then, Carl. Give us some words of wisdom then. Let's hear,
I
we've gone
like
on a
England to
tangent.
win it, obviously, but
well, that's
said,
the right answer.
I think Argentina will still win it.
You think?
I've got a feeling like I think it
As
might
long
be
as-
France. I think
Back to back.
France. I think it might be France. Final four will be France, Argentina, Brazil, and I'm going to throw us in there because we actually did pretty good.
Very ironic because one about
It
the
was
90s.
actually a really, really good match. But I don't know if that's just them that's just pure spectacle.
If we get through, though, we'll face France in the quarterfinals before the semis.
See, there we go. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it'll be Argentina versus Brazil.
That's one of the other semi-finals. If it ever goes, how it should.
And if we're going back to the 90s, fuck that, because there's penalties again, because we never seem to win. So it's always
Yeah,
like
we've won penalties since then. We won
Yeah,
penalties 4 years ago.
Okay, yeah, but what happened last time in the Euros? That was penalties, wasn't it?
Yeah,
got
but
kicked out. Yeah,
that was
Yeah, but
dodgy
we were-
substitutions.
We were playing against Italy. We were going to lose. We were going to we're lucky we got to penalties when it comes to Italy.
Well, yeah.
Right,
At least
let's
some
wrap up
things
then,
stay the
boys.
same. If we're talking about the
Time's
90s,
quite
you got
short.
France 98. You've got
Yep.
Argentina with Maradona. Okay, yeah, because we've gone on a bit of a tangent. So, Carl, your main, it could be TV show, film, or music. One thing that sums up the 90s. You can only pick one. What would you say? Not Turkish business. You said that 4 times.
Turkish business.
One thing, like media wise.
Yeah. Hold on.
Original Sunny Delight, California style.
Okay.
Mate,
OG.
the one
one
thing
thing.
that, like I said, still sticks with me for today. Still is got to be Pokemon. Like I said, it's like for something that they didn't expect to last. Like they only expected to do 2 games max. They only wanted to do red, blue, and green,
No.
and gold and silver, crystal. Well, they weren't even going to do a crystal version. That was it, and it blew up so much that like I'm grateful I can still play it today as an adult, and it's still pretty damn good.
Crystal's great.
And then for me, because I'm a geek, Star Trek: The Next Generation. That just sums up my 90s.
That's great.
Yeah. So
That's cool.
yeah. So cheers for that, guys. Hopefully, OG, you can make more of an appearance if you enjoyed it. You know,
I did. I've enjoyed it. It's been good, man. Like I said, it's not often you get to talk about like back in the day, and people are like, "Oh, shut up, that was ages ago."
That's why this is why we have this platform, because then we can get away with stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I created it, because like how many times my wife just looks at me like, tell someone that cares.
Yeah.
And you know what? Even if we have 5 listeners, they must care because
But yeah, hopefully we can do the rock music one next week, because that'll be good.
Get down. I'm intrigued with his.
I'm intrigued with Dan, because Dan's had good development when it comes to music.
So like for him, he's the guinea pig, isn't he? Now he likes rock music, but like most of us, I know I was born with it, so I'm biased. But we'll definitely sort that next week, or if not, we'll do another theme until we can get down to talk about
his love of Nickelback.
Someone's got to love him, mate. Someone. But until next time, guys, much love.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.